Does determinism lead to nihilism? Have you ever wondered if the idea that everything is predetermined could lead to a belief that life has no meaning? This question sits at the intersection of determinism and nihilism. Determinism is the view that all events, including human actions, are determined by prior events and natural laws. This means that every choice we make is the result of a chain of events that we cannot change. When we think about ethics and morality, this idea raises some interesting questions. If our actions are predetermined, can we still be held responsible for them? This is where the debate begins. Some people, known as hard determinists, argue that if free will is an illusion, then we cannot truly be morally responsible for our actions. This perspective can make it seem like traditional moral systems, which relying on praise or blame, are undermined. However, this does not automatically lead to nihilism, the belief that life lacks meaning or value. Even if we accept hard determinism, we can still find meaning in ethical behavior. Recognizing that our actions have consequences can help us understand the importance of moral frameworks. These frameworks serve social and psychological functions, even if our choices are predetermined. On the other hand, some philosophers take a different approach known as soft determinism or compatibilism. They argue that determinism and free will can coexist. In this view, free will is understood as acting according to our desires and intentions, without external coercion. This means we can still be held morally responsible for our actions, and ethical systems can remain just meaningful. Moreover, even if determinism limits our traditional understanding of free will, ethics can still focus on understanding human behavior and promoting well-being. Moral psychology looks at how we develop concepts of good and evil and how these shape our actions, regardless of whether our choices are predetermined. Meaning and value can be found in our relationships, goals, and experiences, rather than relying solely on the idea of free will. It is also important to note that nihilism is a separate position. Nihilism rejects all meaning or value. While determinism challenges some aspects of moral responsibility, it does not necessitate nihilism. One can accept determinism and still affirm ethical principles and purpose based on human experience and social context. In summary, determinism raises questions about free will and moral responsibility but does not inherently lead to nihilism. Ethical and moral frameworks can adapt to a deterministic view by redefining free will and focusing on the consequences of actions. Meaning can be grounded in human experiences rather than metaphysical freedom. Therefore, determinism and a meaningful ethical life can coexist without falling into nihilism.